Hello and welcome again to Autistic Radio, and thank you for joining us. Thank you also to coldpack.co.uk for sponsoring us. If you use coldpack.co.uk to buy your supplies of cryotherapy for your practice, or if you need a cold pack for yourself, then we benefit here. Thank you to them. But what we're really here for is the 555. Are you in your studio and ready then? Take it away, Harry.
Thank you, Jules. Hello, everyone. This is Harry's Facebook for Sunday, the 8th of February 2026. And this is where we discuss the posts that have been shared on Autistic Radio Facebook page. And the first post is from Autistic Flair, who are a community page and an online community and resource hub dedicated to amplifying autistic voices to change perceptions of autism to create a more inclusive society. And they've shared the following. Autistic people's strong sense of justice is often misread as a personality problem. Greta Thunberg is autistic, and she's often described as abrasive, rigid, or too intense. She's not wrong. Greta just refuses to soften the truth to make it easier to hear. A strong sense of justice is common for many autistic people. It's not about being difficult or dramatic. It's about seeing harm clearly and feeling a deep responsibility to name it. But in a world that prioritizes politeness, social harmony, and not rocking the boat, autistic justice can feel threatening. Greta doesn't package her message to be more palatable or dilute urgency to protect people's comfort. And that's what people react to. Instead of engaging with what she's saying, critics focus on how she says it. Conviction becomes inflexibility or obsession. Moral clarity becomes a flaw. Greta's story reflects something many autistic people learn early. You're celebrated for your passion, right up till it challenges the status quo. What's your thoughts? The reason that I shared it, because it's something that we've talked about in many conversations that we've had, is about the so-called neurotypical rules of life in general, how you behave, how you say things, how you basically do things, and how many autistic people, if not all, are picked on or seen as a nuisance or even worse because of the passion, because of how many autistic people address things like social justice. Because I know in my own experience, I've come across very strong on a lot of things, especially when I was younger. I became quite comfortable at one time in being quite open in my opinions, while trying not to be offensive. But because of the passion behind of those words And because I speak quite loudly, and because I get louder the more enthusiastic that I am, it seems as aggressive. And because of the way that I go about things, like many autistic people do, is looking for logic in different things and different conversations, different arguments, different topics. Because the passion comes out and it's quite loud, it comes across as threatening. And the media have used that against Greta Thunberg as someone who is threatening, and not just threatening, but a nuisance and someone not to listen to. So that's how I see this post and the topic.
I think it's a theme that a lot of autistic people can relate to. We are unwilling to just go along with the group in so many situations. And we have a reputation for pointing out uncomfortable truths. Now, there's an awful lot that is invested in the activities that add to the climate crisis. So the way to undermine Greta is to see her as a socially difficult person, and that's the way she can be undermined. She can be pushed outside the group, made a scapegoat in some way, ridiculed. And my guess is that many autistic people have felt that in other spaces, maybe at work, maybe in the social sphere of the family, the black sheep. Often we are uncompromising when we see through the status quo. And that unwillingness to water down what we see as real is really difficult for the rest of society. What I hope, though, is that when we recognize this, we don't stand back. We see it as a strength, and we don't accept that we can be bullied out of things that we believe. What I hope is that understanding our own autism will give us the strength to double down on social justice, not be subsumed into the groupthink as everybody wishes us to do.
I don't think this is autism exclusive. I think that the way that discourse happens these days, if you disagree with someone, the statements you make or any facts that you make are ignored, and it is turned into a personal attack against you, because what you've stated is what you have clearly stated the other person cannot dispute them, and therefore they will insult you. They will make it personal. I mean, we see this every day with the news coming out of America.
Yeah, absolutely. Robbie shares in the text, it is because it's challenging established cultural beliefs, and it's challenging neurotypical beliefs. But going back to your point, Gia, That's exactly true. And I can imagine that happening to me. If I was in a more public sphere and I came out with a lot of things that, I'm not saying everything I say makes sense, but if I come up with a good point at a certain level, I know fine well that people will start saying things personally against me to try and discredit not just me, but the things that I say, even if I'm establishing fact. Like if I speak about employment rights, people will say, but you don't work and you've hardly had a job in terms of employment. So what do you know? Although being in that experience doesn't mean that you don't know what you're talking about. And that itself, because of the social hierarchy, is a personal attack because you're meant to be inferior if you're not in employment, which is absolute nonsense. And I'm confident enough to fight back in that, but in many ways it can hit you hard. And I see other things happening, in the media. Facebook, social media is very bad at that. Someone will come on and say something very important, very to the point, kind of social justice, or just say anything, something that's worth sharing. And the first thing they do, if the person shows their face, people attack how they look. If they've got a different colour of hair for a start, if the way they dress, if they're wearing glasses, and it's just that attack. And as soon as that starts, you see the conversation in the comments, and it just becomes a bun fight of, you can't say that. How dare you say that? And people fight. It becomes a bun fight. It's not relevant to what's been said, but what the person looks like personally. And I find that, I've got to admit, extremely upsetting. Even though I'm on Facebook all the time, it just really angers me why people just go to that level. And I've seen people do that even to people that I don't agree with or I'm not a big fan of in terms of like a politician's policies and things. Somebody goes out and says they're fat, they're ugly, or they don't know what they're talking about because they don't live in that particular part they're talking about. It's just, and you're right, it's not just statistic, but unfortunately, the label autism for some people is an easy target to attack.
People still hold on to this belief that autism is a intellectual disability. And also the expectation of taking sides. You must take one side or the other. You can't believe part of what one person says and part of what the other side say.
Yeah, it's very true. I've seen criticism of people that have been accused of sitting on the fence. No, you've got to be definitely for this or definitely for that. Like, you've got to be in a tribal kind of situation where you're attacking the other because you don't agree with what they're saying, but you're agreeing with what others are saying. You can't be diplomatic or reasonable. It's quite strange. Although probably not that strange, but it's not nice.
It's like with what Greta said. There's some of it I agree with, some of it I don't. But there's expectation you've got to be for everything she says or against everything she says.
The next post is from AUDHD Unfiltered, a health and wellness website page. Canadian Autistic ADHD and Unfiltered. Welcome into my brain and daily life. And they share the following. Why do we still associate autism with intellectual disability? It didn't happen by accident. For a long time, science only looked at one type of autistic profile, between the 1940s and the 1970s, the children studied by early clinicians were almost all institutionalized, often non-verbal, and frequently had severe intellectual disabilities. So, the image that took root, both in medicine and in the collective imagination, was simple. Autism equals intellectual disability plus no language. Except that, during that same time, autistic people without intellectual disability were completely flying under the radar. Screening tools were built based on profiles with intellectual disability. So if you spoke well, if your IQ was high, if you looked functional, you were often dismissed. Even today, we still hear things like, "You're too functional to be autistic." On the flip side, someone with an intellectual disability can sometimes be labelled autistic almost by default, just because they have social differences. That historical bias is still everywhere. In research, in diagnostics, in the way we talk about autism. And it harms everyone. Autism doesn't have one face. It's not an IQ. It's not a language level. It's a neurotype that exists across the full range of human diversity. Intellectual disability and autism are not interchangeable. Not even close. In fact, the more research evolves, the clearer it becomes that the majority of autistic people do not have an intellectual disability. And lumping them together helps no one. What's people's thoughts?
It does fit a certain social model classifying autistic people as those with an intellectual disability and excluding the majority of autistic people who don't have an obvious intellectual disability. Everything so far has been set up to help those in need, help those classified as in need. And it's an inconvenience now that so many of us are now recognizing neurodiversity as the paradigm, and intelligent people, capable people, realizing that they have other differences and difficulties. It makes it untenable for systems if it's accepted that it's not just those with an intellectual disability that are autistic. Then they have to reframe all the different ways that supports are put in place. But there's something else in it, I feel. There's something in the autism professions that when you come across them, they want to be in a position of savior. Often it's a nice thought. It's a nice feeling. They want to be people who do good in the world and change the world. And having the framework where autistic people are the disabled, intellectually disabled, if they've been living within that framework, it's really difficult when you come across intelligent, bolshy, thought-provoking people like us. It's a challenge. So it's going to take quite a long time for those people to not just accept the size of autism, but get beyond the lip service that they're putting at the moment to the autism paradigm and accept autistic people as equals in supporting the autistic population. They are financially linked to the idea that we should not be part of the solution. They find that difficult to accept, but the reality is there. Their jobs depend on being able to classify us in this way.
I think this is why engagement is important. I mean, when I was first diagnosed and I looked at things across the internet and social media, the word Asperger's was used quite a lot, and these days I rarely see it, which I think is a good thing. So it's about engagement and trying to get the message over through forums like this one.
I think you're right, GR, to put that out and remind us of that. Because my words are quite harsh there. And they might sound as though I don't empathize with their situation, but I do. I want to help them. I want to communicate with them. I want there to be an equity in the communication. Because like you say, it's engagement. At the moment, they are scared to truly engage with us. And it's very performative on average. There are some good people out there. The intentions of the majority have always been good. But letting go of their position of power is incredibly difficult for them.
The whole system at the adult and autism team is set up to give out a particular set of support based on beliefs about autistic people and believing they've all got a learning disability and can't make decisions for themselves. I was spoken over through the whole process. The whole complaint system was set up to investigate the social workers, investigating the social workers carrying out the procedures, not my actual complaint. And the whole system just broke me. They were going to be spending my money on things that were going to harm me, teaching me things I already could do. And who does that help? Because it doesn't make me more able to live my life. It actually leaves me in a position of financial difficulty for things I don't need.
Yeah, speaking over, being spoken. Yes, being spoken over must happen to a lot of autistic people by people who feel in certain positions that they know best, based on what's already been discussed. And at the end of the day, a lot of it is down to power and control. And I'm not saying that completely as a total negative sense, like control and power, like, it's this evil thing. What it is they need this sort of thing so that the ball rolls, things happen, the system happens, and, things are supposed to be like all fair and all that. Things should work out the way they should work out. But all depends on individuals that are in the system and what their perception of what autism is and how they've been trained in it and how they've researched. You know, you see all different things through schooling, as we've talked about many, many times, and things as we talked about in terms of social services, medical services. It just depends on who you're dealing with and how they perceive and what autism is. And this is what the post is all about, is how it can be misunderstood or just kind of not misunderstood, but stereotyped and narrowed down to one particular thing, which sounds so ridiculous when you're saying it. And when you're actually reading it, you know, it just seems so ridiculous that this happens, but it happens. And it happens for all different reasons. And unfortunately, a lot of autistic people will suffer because of that.
I have a question. Um, um, is it related in any way to the joining together of what used to be called Asperger's with autism, and were the same professionals or researchers or anybody working on both of those things, or are they separate groups of professionals, or did um the ones the sorry, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. Okay, I'll leave the question at that. I feel like in Canada, maybe no support was given to the second set, the ones that would have been labeled as the old term Asperger's. But I'm not sure, and I wonder what you think.
Yeah, and briefly, I always want to connect it to the increase in diagnoses. As Teresa's saying there, I think it's mentioned in the post that those with Asperger's weren't flying under the radar. They were diagnosed, weren't they, quite far back. But there was a time when it was only people who were supposedly high functioning autistic were not diagnosed. So there is an increase in diagnosis and self-identification as well. So I'll just add that in.
I feel if that was the case, then it's like this oil tanker that can't be effectively put on the right course.
Robbie says in the text, as we know, that Asperger's is no longer a diagnosis, and I think it's replaced with high functioning. Is that what the term is now for, like myself? Because I know I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome back in 1998, and I was kind of told that, oh, you've got autism, but you've not got autism. You've got autism, but you're kind of higher. The way they made it sound is like, oh no, you're not that bad. You've got autism, but it's not that bad, and it's called Asperger's syndrome. And I recall the way that they were describing it, and it took me years to try and figure out what the hell they were talking about. In fact, maybe I'm even doing it right now, although I've got a lot more understanding. Is that what they call Asperger's now? Is it higher functioning autism, or level 1 autism, or level 3?
No,
It's level 1 and level here in Canada, level 1 and 2 and 3. Um, I think each one has accommodations or levels of support or something, but they're considered to be just sharing a lot in common or on this. They are the same thing, maybe.
I said no because my diagnosis in 2023 didn't declare anything like that. It was just autism.
Mine was 2014. They were still using Asperger's then. I think the problem with these function labels or levels is it doesn't actually look at the differences in support, rather, and it suggests higher function you need less support, which isn't true.
We don't, in Canada, I know they don't say high functioning, and my diagnosis is really recent. It's, I think it's still less than 2 years. So I don't know if, but I know there's no services or resources.
I've just got my diagnosis sheet out. It says, it was explained to me our services assess using the DSM-V criteria for autism spectrum disorder. That does not include the previous subcategories such as autism or Asperger's syndrome. And it says about these difficulties equate to a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder 299.0 as defined in the newly updated DSM-V. This would equate to a ICD-10 diagnosis of childhood autism. I'd have to read it all through to get anything else that's relevant. But they weren't using Asperger's in 2016 for me.
It might have depended when the person doing stuff was trained.
Yeah, I think the term Asperger's syndrome was phased out the big medical book, as I said at the time some time ago. Well over 10 years ago, it might even be 15. But as Robbie says, the terminology, accurate or not, it depends on the person, how they were trained, and who you're speaking to. You know, my parents still say I've got Asperger's. And the reason they say that is because that's what I was diagnosed with at the time. It's not like there was an upgrade on it, or maybe there was, but nobody told me. They changed their terminology, I should say, rather than upgrade. But that's how, when I'm talked about by some of my family, I'm still referred to as having Asperger's syndrome. And it's looked upon as a disability. Not an intellectual one, but not being well is still the sort of kind of, it's the mindset, not a mindset of being bad, it's just how it was perceived at the time. I was diagnosed through a mental health crisis. I was in hospital at the time, so it's easy that would be the way forward.
I've just looked up DSM, which is Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and the term Asperger was dropped in 2013.
Obviously, the people diagnosing me didn't know because of my diagnosis was 2014.
The next post is from Jordan James, the artistic photographer. Public figure. I'm autistic, ADHD, dyslexic, and generally neurodivergent photographer, parent, husband, advocate, ND specialist, author, and host of the Neurodivergent Experience podcast. I'm also a motivational speaker, so please email me for inquiries. And he shared the following. We had the most awesome night out in Auckland. Being neurodivergent, we struggle with large crowds and busy cities. But Auckland was so nice and chill, I didn't feel disabled at all by the overstimulation. We went to a basketball game to watch the New Zealand Breakers, and it was so loud at first I didn't think I'd cope, as I'd forgotten my headphones. I used my fingers to dull the noise, but after a while I was able to acclimatise myself to it and was absolutely fine. I did have to wear sunglasses as the floodlights were so bright. But that's what making reasonable adjustments is. I also got new Jordan 3 trainers and had one of the best burgers ever at 10 p.m. after the game. So this is a post shared from Jordan where he was visiting New Zealand with his family and shared some pictures of his travels. What's your thoughts?
My first reaction is this thing about people who are autistic or neurodivergent who really like being kind of normal and neurotypical, who want to go out and enjoy the neurotypical world and all its what's the wee phrase I was going to grab for there and it's gone. Whirs and buzzes, all those noises.
And
I was in.
I just
Sorry,
have a
Nick.
general positive feeling about it. I don't. I
Sorry, who's
especially like the
speaking?
burger late at night.
Sorry, people are speaking over each other here.
Can Teresa not see who's muted or unmuted? Because we had this issue before.
Yes, Teresa, can you hear any of us? Can you hear Ray?
Oh, maybe she can't hear it.
I can hear only you, Harry. If I was maybe I can't hear Ray. Sorry.
Right, no, it's because Ray was speaking and you started speaking. It was obvious that must have been the case. So, probably need to go out and come back in again, as you did before, to adjust it.
Sorry, what was I saying? I was in Specsavers yesterday and I had to sit and wait for a while. And the noise began to get to me in a very unusual way, really unnerving. Usually I'm okay. But what I'm finding now is that just through general tiredness and stuff and lack of energy, that a situation where I'm supposed to just be sitting should be done in comfort and quiet and rest for me. But if it's in a very sensory stimulating environment, it's almost too much now, and I can't see how I can push myself to accept that. So I'm now making distinctions about what is, what I'm capable of and what I'm not. And so, yeah, I've got cousins who are over in Auckland just now in New Zealand, and travel is a great thing. That's your thing. But I just look at it all and go, why put yourself through all that? Is it just to be normal?
Well, looking at it, what Jordan is doing, he's over with his family travelling from the UK. His daughter Sophie, I think, lives in New Zealand. So he's there for that particular reason. And while he's there, he's and the family's enjoying, the culture, the sights sort of thing. But what the post also reminds me of is sometimes I go to the ice hockey in Glasgow, and the acclimatising kind of topic, it's like, this is going to be loud. And it is loud. And it's at Braehead Arena, which is within a shopping centre in Glasgow. And the team I go to watch is Glasgow Clan, that used to be called the Braehead Clan. And it's a lot noisier than football matches because they use music and lights and the hype and all that to get it going. It's quite loud and it's quite boisterous. But I was so surprised when I was invited along. I thought, I was invited along by a friend to go to one of the matches, and I thought, something different, something to try, because even though I like playing it safe, sometimes it's good to try something new so you don't get too bored. And I was wondering how I was going to cope, because it wasn't just about going to the game, which is about 7:30 that evening. It was going to the shopping centre around lunchtime and having lunch and then go to the shops and an all day thing. You're around a lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot of senses. But what I found is if I like something enough, I manage to relax. I think it's helpful when you've got someone with you can speak to. I don't need headphones. I usually have that when I'm alone. And I didn't need any kind of sensory sort of, something to limit the senses. In fact, I embraced the senses in many ways. The only thing I had was my hat to keep my head warm. And it's just this post just reminded me of, even though of all these kind of obstacles you need to get over, they can be overcome, and you can enjoy a right good day out, a right good night out. And the buzz, the positive feeling of doing that, like afterwards going on the train home, which is around, 11, 12 o'clock at night, get back to my nice quiet house. It's like, I did that. I felt great, had a good day out. And it seems strange saying this, but I was doing things that other people do. And I wasn't limited to what I enjoyed. There were certain things that obviously I had difficult with, but I overcame them. And it just shows you that things can be overcome if you want to, but not to feel bad if a thing is not for you, because it sometimes can be overwhelming. It's a nice positive post.
About positive posts, they can make you feel that you're being negative.
Yes, I can understand that. But I think what these posts, from my perception, is they just show you there's choices out there. It doesn't mean your choice is wrong. You choose what you do because you want to and you feel comfortable with. You don't need to do what someone else is doing because they're enjoying it. It just shows you there's things out there if you choose that. I mean, I've no intention of travelling far to somewhere like New Zealand. I mean, that's a nightmare scenario for me. And like the likes of Jules, who travels to India and has travelled to many other places all over the world. I mean, that's a nightmare to me as well. But even that, to me, it's an option that's out there if I choose that's what I wanted to do.
I sort of got the idea when he was talking about the burger at night that he had surprised himself. Um, like if he had traveled because he had family there, uh, maybe he did it, you know, because you would do that. But then he was surprised by this good day or good experience.
I'm just looking what's been said in the text. Autistic social media peer pressure. And Robbie's added using public transport is a nightmare for me. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. What about the social media peer pressure? Do people feel that there's pressure being put on autistic people by other autistic people's experiences and them sharing them?
Well, since I posted it, I think that it's very similar to what you get on a lot of social media, where people will post images of their holidays and their clothes and loads of other little personal attractions, and you think like, oh fuck, I'm not living my life. Look at these amazing people. Well, I don't feel like that, but you know, sometimes it creeps up on you, and you would expect, well, would you expect the autistic community not to behave like that? But in a way, they do. They know, they're going like, I've done this, I've done that. They're kind of very similar, and that's why I brought up the phrase normal. You know, this idea of aiming for the neurotypical kind of role or model in life. And for those of us who look for alternatives, it's extremely difficult because there's not a lot out there for us.
I think it can exist. I'm thinking about different places on earth have different societal expectations and different age brackets, so different demographics of people were raised differently than we might have been. So ableism might lead to that.
Robbie's saying in the text, using public transport is a nightmare for him, but then he says he doesn't fit the stereotype for autistic. Now, do we have a stereotype for autistic? What do we mean by that? And what does Robbie mean by that? For age or gender, he's added. Yeah, there's these things that are, I think, apart from autism, it's like age and gender are added kind of qualities or criteria for judgment. But yeah, difficult one.
I was at Stone's gig in 2002, coming back on the BART, the train, and it was packed solid. And I didn't, but I just so, you're not going to get this. I just so wanted to shout out, Soylent Green is people.
I wouldn't even be able to get on a train on my own. I struggle even with people. I have no skills for getting myself out of trouble if I miss last trains, buses, and it really terrifies me being stranded anywhere.
Is that you saying, Gia, that we are like a meat wagon, you know? Or a
It was
vegetable man?
it was just so crowded, and I was just getting into movie riffing, and it just felt. It was just. I mustn't say this out loud, but I just so wanted to.
What you're doing there is kind of something Lucy referred to in a couple of things a couple of weeks back, like this idea of dissociating from the situation, like going into some kind of neutral where, you know, you're not that self-conscious, you're not even there.
Yeah, that's very true. When the last two Stones gigs I went to, the first one I went on my own, and I just literally, like it was a bubble around me, and I took a picture of myself, and when I posted it on Facebook, I put everyone around me are worried whether they can catch having a face that looks like a slapped cow's ass, because I really didn't look very happy, but I was there for the band, and that's what I concentrate on. And when it's mosh pitting and moshing, it's a bit more difficult, but otherwise I just literally, I'm in a little bubble when I'm on my own.
The next post is from Grove, online community for autistic young people. And it's an education website page, autistic-led support for young people, one-to-one mentoring and peer groups, authentic connection and self-understanding in safe spaces. Being me, exploring and embracing autistic identity. Grove helps young people feel accepted and celebrated just as they are. And they've shared the following. It's in relation to their interest group for autistic kids by autistic adults about Pokemon. I have permission to share this wonderful email. I just wanted to give some feedback on the Pokemon group and let you know how it's getting on. I think you have a very lovely facilitating style. You are great at bringing the children in at different times, but also gently keeping the session moving along. It's obvious to see the work that you put in behind the scenes to keep the sessions interesting. The activities are always fun for. He talks off camera to me, and he animatedly tells me his thoughts about what is being discussed. He is quite happy being a silent participant on camera, and I'm really pleased to see that he does enter the chat every so often and says bye when he wants to leave. This is great progress for him. Yesterday, he continued to play the quiz for a good 30 minutes after leaving and got out all his Pokemon books to help him think of the different Pokemon for the region. Before every session, I always ask him, does he have enough spoons for the group? And he adamantly tells me yes. So thank you for all you and Louise do. It is appreciated. This group is currently full, but we have a waiting list. What's people's thoughts on this? The reason I shared this is because I share Grove on a regular basis. And it's great work that they do. They have safe spaces for kind of hobby interest groups. And we all know about the autistic passions, which can be negatively portrayed as obsessions and portrayed negatively anyway. So it's good it can be turned on its head. It's like, you've got an interest, you like Pokemon, here's a Pokemon group. It's a safe space. You won't be judged because that's what the group is, and you don't have to participate by saying something. You can basically do what Autistic Radio does actually in many ways. You can look, you can listen, you can be in the company of, be involved, but don't feel forced to be involved. It's somewhere to belong, it's something to look forward to, and it must be a great thing for so many people. The afterwards feeling, the like, that was a good couple of hours, that was a great day, that was a great evening, that was a great morning, and I look forward to doing it again. and having that schedule and routine where it's something to look forward to. And it may be one of many. It's just great work that this organisation does.
Well, I was thinking maybe for people like some of us, or me, I'm always so selfish talking about myself, but it would have been nice as a child to have this opportunity because I, uh, yeah, if I was doing my special interest, it was considered in the house to be weird. It was history, which is, I don't know, everybody might have a different interest, but I used to go in the attic and do my history stuff. And if I wasn't, I was expected to be like everybody else, hi- high, highly masking, even in the house. So I feel I like this idea.
Just to explain what Pokemon is, from what I've seen, it says Pokemon is a series of role-playing video games developed by Game Freak and published by Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. Over the years, a number of spin-off games based on the series have also been developed by multiple companies. Then goes on a bit further about, more detail. But yeah, what was said as well is, Ray says, silent participation is so important. And it is. And what I like is being silent is participation. It's not like being silent means you're not participating. And I think that has been the problem in the past. Is like if you're silent, even if you're sitting listening, it's like you must say something in order to participate. So it's good that this is a platform which you don't have to say something. Because the worst thing is, particularly for autistic people, is being forced to communicate.
The only reason I asked about Pokemon is it was such a huge phenomenon, you can't be unaware of it, a social phenomenon, cultural phenomenon. And yeah, I know nothing about it, I don't understand any of it. Like, what is it for? What does it do? What's the aim? What's the goal? Are these even questions?
It's an anime thing, wasn't it? Originally, it was a cartoon, and then it was, or was it? It was either trade cards, collecting cards, and then a cartoon, or the other way around. And then it became there was a phone app, and you went around, and when you used your phone camera, the app would put hidden Pokemons that you had to find. So it wasn't a sit down at a table and cards and or watch TV. It was out walking around and trying to find things.
That's when I get suspicious that it's a bit of social manipulation. I've always been resistant to being told what to do. But you can see how it might be, to be fair to it, one of these involvement things where you feel you want to participate and be co-creative in something that you enjoy. And so, and with the modern technology as well, is that other aspect, which is very strange for a guy from my generation. Well, maybe we played things, we traded cards, but again, I found all that a bit normal.
Well, thanks everyone. That was another good. Thanks everyone. This is what's wrong with me tonight. Thanks everyone. It was a good conversation as always. And thanks to people who have shared these posts that we've discussed tonight. This is Harry's Facebook for Sunday, the 8th of February 2026, which is part of the Spectrum Voices conversation, which is here every Sunday, 5:55 p.m. to 7 p.m. UK time. And I look forward to next week. So thank you and goodbye.
According to the internet, there's a stop recording button in the top right-hand corner.
Thanks, GR. I'll just look for it. It's nothing obvious, or it would have been done by now, but thanks for that. I mean, I've done this before. It's just been a while since I've done it, so yeah. Hold on.
Next up on Autistic Radio is the news, followed by Sunday Thoughts with our friendly host, Hulk Hogan.
And then Stars on Sunday with Jess Yates.
This week's episode featuring Huey Green.
At 9 o'clock, get ready for Tales of the Unexpected.
And Melvin Bragg on the South Bank Show.
Do we have a problem here with Joe's mobile not having completed its upload? Share the link below for them to continue their upload. Weird. We're trapped. It's a locked room mystery.
I hope not, because the longer it goes on, it means that I have to, I can't leave this laptop on all night to upload. So that's my worry. Does it cut off at a certain time anyway?
I've no idea. I'm just trying to turn this thing off right now. Because the last thing I want is to lose this recording, lose this, the podcast that we've done, because it was a lot of great stuff discussed.
Yeah, I understand that.
There's nothing obvious to tell me where to stop the recording. That's really frustrating. I just want to see what it actually is. And when I go to help, it doesn't actually help.
Typical. So in the right hand panel, I'm down in recording, right? Recording in progress, and there's a list of all of us who's still uploading, and that's where I see that mobile host is upload incomplete. Who's in private chat? Oh, yeah, help. You don't expect help to provide any help, do you? No.
I can't post the link, but from what I see, there's a thing called StreamYard Help Center, and but it shows there's this enormous. It shows there's record only, edit, then a bin icon, a recycle icon, a pause icon, and then an end recording icon.
Can someone email Jules? Yeah, good. Teresa, great minds.
Jules is away to the airport.
I've emailed you the link. It's all I can see. I can't do anything from here.
Harry, do you think he won't respond to the email then, or can't?
He probably can't. He may do, but I don't want to stress him out either. I'll resolve this. Just give me a minute. I'll take my earphones off just now, just to have a look at this. But we're done anyway, so. But I'll try and get this saying that we need to wait so it is all uploaded. Just give me a few minutes.
You said you sent a link, GR. Where to? An email?
Yeah, I sent you the email. I sent you and Harriet a link on email.
If I could insert images into the chat, I would show you my screen. There's nothing up in the top right hand side that says stop recording. There's just a panel which comes in and out like a menu.
We're doomed.
Yeah, I think according to the help, there's supposed to be like a kind of play set of controls, you know, with pause and stop and play. And I've not got that on my screen, so obviously I'm not part of that kind of thing. I wonder if it's better on the phone.
Bloody hell.
I can't seem to log in studio level with my phone. I'm just logging in as a normal viewer. So I just wanted to see if on the mobile phone the settings were different. There's a thing in settings where you can set a hotkey for end recording, right? And I set it and it won't work. So, anybody got any smart ideas around that one? I guess, Harry, we're just going to have to lose our recordings. Having watched that StreamYard video, we are not in a recording studio, I don't think. Harry, in the video it says it's the top bar, you know, where that little beaky guy is on the left hand side, the StreamYard duck or whatever it is. That bar should have controls in it for the recording. It seems only Jules can start or end recordings. Is that correct?
It seems to be the case, but it's really strange because I do recall this being set up before. Because there's going to be situations where Jules is not going to be available. So
You've never started one yourself, Harry, no?
I've never started one, but I have ended a few, I'm sure I have. But we have used
Sure?
different software.
Aye, are you sure you've ended them?
Well, not completely sure, but I must have done. Although, yeah, I must have done. But it's been a while. I've texted Jules to let him know about it. I forgot I had his mobile. I don't know
Yeah,
how
well,
busy he is.
yeah, imagine him having a lot on, you know, it was the same with the thing on Otscape yesterday morning. He'd set it all up technologically and then it just didn't work. So there's possibly a bit of either overthink or forgetfulness going on there, that he possibly is the editor who has control over recordings and we don't.
Yeah, but surely you can just just end recording if I'm the host. Because any other time I've done host of anything else, you know, the the power, so to speak, the control is handed over to you. But it's strange. You know, it's beginning to annoy me now. I just want to finish. I was actually wanting to have a wee chat, but we're live. Nobody's listening to us, but we're live.
Well, I suppose we could edit out everything that went after the 555.
Well, yeah, that'll definitely happen, but it's don't want it to be too long because it's not me edits all this. Jules actually gives me like 45 minutes, so he obviously cuts a lot out. But silence is actually cut out, and there was a lot of silence, so should be okay.
Do we have anybody listening just now? Can we observe that anywhere?
Yeah, there's an eye that comes up, but it's zero. No one generally listens to us. We get one or two. It's just that it comes up on Facebook and all that as live, and people can listen to it anytime afterwards.
We'll never upload our recordings if it doesn't cease, Harry.
Yes, I know. I'm looking. I'm trying to see if there's something I'm missing. But you think it'd be obvious, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but Teresa just gave me a wee thing there about, if you've got ad blocker on, switching it off. But then I remember I've got to refresh the screen to load it with that off, and then that would lose my upload, wouldn't it?
No, what it does is it pauses it. If you come back in, it'll continue.
So I'll do a quick refresh and see if this
Yeah.
gives me the controls. I don't think we've got the controls, have we?
It's looking unlikely, but it seems kind of odd why it continue to broadcast if no one has the controls to stop the broadcast.
Now the ad blocker solution doesn't work.
I'm just trying to find a setting panel that would actually have end recording, but I don't understand why it'd be so complicated. It's really frustrating.
Harry, according to the video, it seems like they've just recently added it, and it's supposed to be up in that top bar where the date is, and you know, on the left hand side saying 2026 5:55 p.m. live. And it's supposed to be there on the right hand side, like pause, play, stop. And obviously, as hosts, we don't have that right, it seems. Or we're on an older version.
I think the best thing to do is everybody to leave at the moment. Then I'll come in. Oh, I don't know. It won't be a loss if we come back. It doesn't need to be tonight, it can be tomorrow. But
Yeah, we only really discussed really 4 major posts. I mean, it was good chats, but are we going to just give up on tonight's broadcast then?
well, I don't want. I'll give it a bit longer. I'm trying to be careful not to make any rash decisions, I suppose. But it doesn't seem to be anything obvious to. I don't want to phone Jules
No,
and
don't
wind
do
him
that.
up. I don't want. He could be in the middle of the airport. I'm sure he's doing something with his wife. He's picking her up at the airport or taking her to the airport. He's doing something like that. He's probably driving or he's travelling and he's dealing with something else. He was probably hoping that handing over to me he wouldn't need to deal with anything. So the last thing I want to do is phone him because it'd wind him up.
Yeah, he probably needs his laptop and he's probably not got that plugged in or anything. It's just working on
No,
phone, which might not be accessible. I'm wondering if I've got a studio on one of the laptop he sent me, but I don't think it has those privileges. I'll open it up and see.
I don't think it will. I think he's only wanted to just be me and him at the moment. But no harm in checking, I suppose.
Oh, you give me the option to do nothing? Well, I prefer to do nothing. So, how's everyone doing? I'm going to pop off for a wee 5 minute sort of break. You still can't hear Teresa.
Teresa's on mute.
She was saying she can't hear anybody in the text. Harry, did you see that link I sent you about the autistic sway?
When did you send it?
This morning, really. It's be on your Harry's page. The guy's really funny, I find. He does these amusing little 30-second comedy clips about autism.
All right, no, I haven't seen it. I'll have a look.
Hello, Teresa. Test, test, test. Okay, does removing you and adding you help? Robbie's being incredibly patient here.
I've not exactly got much to do till about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Do you have any solutions for us here, Robbie?
No, I can't think of any.
I can only assume I don't have the settings that I'm supposed to have because I've looked at all these different videos telling me how to do things, but it's showing me stuff that I don't have.
Like that bar up the top, yeah, with the controls. It's not there.
No. But I recall having it before. That's why Jules has been confident enough to leave me with it. So he obviously thinks I've got it.
Oops. So why might you not have it when you once had it? Ponder that one for a bit.
I think it's just when it was what you call it? When you're paying for it, when you reuse it, whatever, or maybe it was like an upgrade that hasn't happened. Because I've hardly used it.
Unedited.
Have you used it since all the changes of rooms and a new deal dump?
Sorry, Robbie?
Have you used it since all the new deals and the changes of rooms?
No, I mean, for the last while, Jules has been here, so I haven't had to do anything. And that's what's so frustrating because I want him to be assured if he doesn't hear that it'd be sorted. But if I don't have the resource, I can't do it. But I just find it strange how I'm the host, it's on live. You think it would stop being live if you can't use a damn thing, but or you can't stop it. It's just a strange thing, strange situation to be in.
Perhaps the old settings have been carried across and that's why you haven't got the same control.
Yeah, possibly. I'll look one more time to see if I've missed something, but I don't think so. It all looks pretty obvious to me here. It just seems basic setting. I mean, it goes to like settings. It's all the settings it gives me is just for my camera or sound, nothing else. Although I do have control of who's in the room and who's not. So you think if I have that, I could actually stop the recording. It's very strange.
Sometimes they do updates and muck things up.
I can't find it. It's given me every single option. It's even given me recording in progress, but it won't give me the actual button to stop it. Although it did give me option to stop it on Facebook, but it'll still be live on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So I think the best thing to do is just follow us to
Can
leave.
anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Teresa, but you obviously couldn't hear us. Harry, I followed that. I'm looking up on AI the answers, and it's telling us to leave the studio, apparently. But that sounds a bit drastic. Or restart browser. So, and it's obvious, it's apparently related to the fact that who set up the recording in the first place. And that's Jules, probably.
Right. See, at the end of the day, us leaving, it won't ruin the recordings as long as we come back and finish off downloading. So if we left tonight, we still have an opportunity to do it in a later time, like tomorrow. I know that
Tomorrow.
Teresa won't be able to do the meeting because of time difference, but there will be an opportunity for Teresa to do it in the future.
But it might be that we as hosts can open up the uploads for other people and keep them going. I'll do a quick leave and come back here. That won't lose my recording, will it? Well, we're all going to leave
No.
anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it is 10 to 8 now. I don't want to make people wait because it's an easy fix. It's just it might run live on LinkedIn and YouTube for a while, but nobody's talking, so there's no harm. And Jules will get my text and then he'll see what it's about. What I'll do is also email as well, saying there's a problem, and then Jules can deal with it when he can. And
Oh, yeah,
then
email might have been a wee bit better because text might be, calls might not be transmitting.
it might
But
not. The only reason I done text because I thought it might be immediate. He might have a phone on him and it'll make a noise and he'll have a quick look if he's not busy. But that
yeah,
was asking a lot.
but he might be free in a couple of hours, eh?
Yeah, I'd
Maybe
imagine he will be. So
he's not
I,
travelling himself. He's going back to his bed or something. Yeah.
yeah, what I'll do is I'll send an email to him. So I think we should all leave, go on with our life, and we're meeting tomorrow anyway. Well, most of us, and we'll we'll get it resolved because we can upload the recordings later. Because Joe needs to do his own, and GR hasn't completed his either. Obviously, he left thinking this is taking too long, which is fair enough. So, you okay with that?
Yeah, I think that's a plan, man.
Okay, see you tomorrow. We'll get it
Right,
all
now
sorted.
got to tell Teresa in chat 'cause she can't hear us.
Okay.
Right, I think we'll all go now, Harry and Robbie.
Yeah, we'll all go now. Sorry for the wait. Although we'd probably be here anyway, just chatting away. It's just unfortunate we haven't been able to do so.
Hey, it was fun.
See you later. Thank you. I'll send that email now, and I'll include everyone in it.